I'm Amelie and welcome once again to my channel. Today I'm going to be watching Advance Bravely episodes 9 and 10. That's right, 2 episodes instead of 1. So, before we go into the reaction, let's just address a few things. So, first, yes, actually 2 episodes this week, but this is not going to be forever. I'm not going to continue watching 2 episodes. I don't think. I'm not going to make any promises, but that is definitely not my intention at the moment. This is a one-time thing because, in case you didn't notice, I wasn't here last week. Well, technically I was because I was at home, but I just didn't upload anything. The reason is that I woke up one day and I just didn't have a voice. I couldn't speak, so you can see how that is an issue when you do this type of reactions. And I guess any type of reactions. Like, I guess even if you show your face, you still expect it to talk. It's not a miming reaction. Although that is an idea. That is something that I've never seen. So I had to take some time off to recover, and I'm mostly recovered now. I think my voice, at least now, it sounds normal. I may have a few moments here and there, but it mostly sounds normal. But believe me when I tell you, speaking feels like just using sandpaper on my throat. That is the feeling that I have. But I have to continue speaking like I have a life. Not only this, but also a job. So I'm mostly recovered anyway, or at least very well on the way of recovery. So I'm fine. So now that I'm fine, I decided to compensate for the reactions that I missed uploading. So I decided to do 2 episodes instead of one of all the shows that I missed. So, for example, for Scumbag System, I already did 2 episodes a few days ago. I actually did 3 episodes, but that is a complete different matter. That has nothing to do with me, getting sick and trying to compensate later. I'm doing 2 episodes for Advance Bravely today and 2 episodes for Guardian on Wednesday. So that's what we have, 2 episodes. I don't believe I'm going to continue doing 2 episodes, but I'll be honest, who knows what's going to happen in the future. So let's see what happens next week. Now, the second thing that I have to address is that this is coming very late, extremely late. I was supposed to upload this on Monday and it's Tuesday now, Tuesday morning, and I'm just recording this. So clearly something went wrong. And what went wrong is the fact that my internet provider decided not to provide me with internet anymore. Well, not anymore. There was a technical issue, something like that. So I have to wait until they fix it, and I think they fixed it last night because I woke up today and I had internet. So that's why I'm recording this now, and also recording in the morning, which is something that I try not to do because I live next to a school and usually the mornings are pretty active. So if you hear noises, that's what happened. I also not at my best in the mornings. I am not a morning person. I usually work in the mornings, but it's mostly my freelance job, so my translator job. And then my other job is in the afternoon. So, usually I'm not in the best mood when I woke up, but we are doing this anyway, because if I don't do it now, then it's going to get together with a recording that I have to do for Guardian, and I'm just going to start accumulating things. So I'm going in for this one. Now, announcements next. We finished the section of explanations and apologies. We move into announcements. Last week I ended Scumbag System. I finished it. It's over. I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm reading the book now. It was a great experience. But that means that my Friday reaction slot is open, and that is going to be filled by a new show that I'm going to start watching. And that show is definitely a very popular show, or at least I've seen it everywhere. I got it recommended by a lot of people. So I'm really excited about doing it. It's definitely very different different to what I've been doing now, not only because it's from a different country. So far, I've only watched shows from China and Japan, and this one is from Thailand. And also, it's, I would say, a lot more explicit than the shows that I've been watching so far. So I'm very excited about it. Now, the show that I'm going to start, and I realize now that I didn't actually check the pronunciation, like I thought I made a mental note to do it and then I forgot. So I'm going to continue to pronounce it how I think it's pronounced. So if it's not pronounced this way, I guess I'll find out on Friday how it's pronounced. But the show that I'm going to be starting is Kin Porsche. I'm very excited about it. So if you're interested in watching the reactions for those shows, then come by on Friday and join me in my experience of this show. So that's it. Announcements over. Let's talk about Advanced Bravely. What happened in the last episodes? Let me think, because this was 2 weeks ago, and I obviously didn't rewatch these episodes because I don't usually rewatch. I try not to rewatch things. I try to rely on my memory, which is probably a mistake, but I still do it. So what happened in the last episodes? We had Xia Yao, who had gone out with 2 of his friends, although I suspect they're probably his only friends. I don't have any proof, but I think they are his only friends. So these 2 guys are, and I actually looked for their names in the internet because there was no way that I was going to remember. The names are Pengse and Dawu. No, Dayu. Dawu is from Word of Honor. Dayu. So Pengse is the guy who's pretending to be gay to get on with a girl. And then Dayu is the new guy that we got in the last few episodes. He's a childhood friend of them and he just came back. Apparently he went away and he came back. Now Dayu is interesting. He's an interesting figure in all of this. Not that Pengse isn't, but let's say that Dayu has a very interesting, how would you call this? A very interesting attitude towards Xia Yao. He seems to be very interested, extremely interested in Xia Yao. He was very complimentary of him. He was very concerned about his love life. So it was, curious. And we're going to, now as we discuss what happened in the previous episodes, we're going to see that there are some other attitudes that seem to indicate that this guy may have a little crush on Xia Yao, I think. But we'll discuss this later. So they are in this club that has like 15 people in total. So not a very popular place, I have to say. And they're seem to be having fun. Well, up to a point, because there were some girls rubbing themselves against Xia Yao, which was weird. He didn't like this because apparently he has some kind of, we know he has some trauma related to legs, which we don't understand that much yet. But he didn't like these girls rubbing against him, which is his right. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So he got mad and then he started, he went back to his friends. He started drinking. I think this is not the last episode. This is the one before. So, in the last episode, what happens is that they got drunk. They got very, very drunk. And here we find out a curious little tip about Xia Yao. So what we know is that when he gets drunk, he likes to bite people's ears. Now, I find this disgusting, but I don't know if it's just me. I'm very particular about my ears. I don't like other people touching them. I can't even fathom touching somebody's ear. And that is with my hand. I can't even, not even with my mouth. I don't even want to think about just touching someone's ear with my mouth. But that might be me. Maybe there are some people who find it a little bit sexier than I do. Maybe this is just my personal hang up with ears. But apparently we find this information. Not only that, but we found that Dayu is pretty excited about this tidbit, this little information. He was very happy to announce that this is what happened, and he seems to be looking forward to it as well. So they are very drunk. They leave the club. Pengse lives with his driver because these are rich boys, we have to remember. Or at least Pengse and Dayu are. I think that Xia Yao is also rich, but at least he doesn't have a driver. So Peng Se lives with his driver, and Yu also has a driver who offers to take him home, and Yu says no, because he is going to take Xia Yao home, but not in a car. What this guy is going to do is going to get Xia Yao on his back and carry him home. Now, I don't remember seeing Yu and Xia Yao like next to each other to compare sizes, but at least by the look of them, they give me the impression that Xia Yao is quite bigger than him. I think he's definitely taller, but it gives the impression of being more like just bigger. You know what I mean? Like he's just more solid, and like Yu is a little bit more like on the skinny side, I guess. So this is already an interesting, proposition, especially when you have a driver at hand. You can say, oh, I can drive you home, or I can take you home with my driver. But no, he's going to carry him home, because apparently this is a tradition that they had, and he's going to carry him home. I'm guessing when they were teenagers, maybe their sizes weren't what they are today. But he does it. He gets him into his bag, and with some difficulty, he starts walking. And let's be fair, he's also hoping for some ear biting. I think there's definitely that expectation in the mix. Now, something happens at this stage that it's probably one of those things that I have never seen before, and I don't expect seeing again. This is the kind of thing that you can only see in this show, because pretty much to this point, things have been, yes, a little curious. I mean, wanting to carry your friend in your back instead of driving him, it is eccentric, but, I think there is a level of nostalgia involved, and they're also very drunk, so I'll give it a pass. What happens next is next level, let's call it that. So, who should appear at this stage but the person who always appears whenever Xia Yao is involved, which is Yong. Yong just happens to be there. Now, we can give him the benefit of the doubt, because it's possible that he's just there because he was doing something else. Maybe he went out with his friends, if he has one, which is something that I seriously doubt, but it doesn't matter. Maybe he was there to pick up his sister who was in a club nearby. Maybe he's just taking a walk at night. But he appears there where Xia Yao is, which it's an interesting coincidence. And what he sees, from his perspective, he sees Xia Yao, which is someone that he knows and, parenthesis, he also loves. And he is looking at Xia Yao passed out, because at this point Xia Yao pretty much is out. He's maybe awake, but his brain is definitely clocked out. And he's looking at this guy being taken from a club drunk by somebody he doesn't know. And this is concerning. I would agree with that. I would agree that this is concerning. If I saw one of my friends being dragged by somebody I don't know when they are passed out, I will definitely, I don't know if intervene, but at least, go ask some questions like, who are you? What are you doing? Like, I don't know if this is the best idea. And, I can understand the concern. If it's just that. Because we know that with Shuang Song, there is also another level that is just not concern. But let's assume that it's just concern. So as a friend, inverted commas here, let's say, as a friend, you can go there and ask him, like, who are you? Why are you taking him? Like, maybe take a cab. Like, maybe why don't I give you a ride home? Why don't I accompany you just in case? Just to make sure there is no funny business involved. But I have found that in this show, people usually don't do the more logical thing. Usually the more logical thing is something that it never even comes out. Like, it never occurs. It's not even in the reality of this universe. The logical thing doesn't exist. So if the logical thing is plan A, Shuang Song goes from plan, I don't know, Z, Omicron, I don't know. It's definitely in a complete different page in the planning list. So what he does is approach Yu. He grabs Xia Yao, and he grabs a complete stranger that happened to be walking by and who was also absolutely drunk, and exchange them. So now that Yu is carrying a complete stranger on his back, and he didn't even notice. I have to give some credit. He did it very smoothly. So he did it in a way that was definitely very difficult to find, especially if you're pissing drunk like these guys are. So Yu continues taking this stranger home, and Yong stays with Xia Yao. Now, there's two parts to this. So let's start with Yu. So Yu continues on his way home. Now, if you take a friend home, you would assume that he's taking him to his home, to, Xia Yao's home, because that's how it usually works. But he doesn't. He takes him to Yu's home, to his own home. And you would say, well, maybe he has, an extra room, a guest room that he can, put him on. And that would be a good idea. And he lives in a pretty big house. So that is fair enough. However, what he does is to take this guy who he thinks is Xia Yao, not only into his house, into his room, but also into his bed. I would call that fucking suspicious. I would call that not great. Not a great thing to do. And as well, he's very disappointed by the lack of ear biting. Apparently, there was, he's very looking forward. He was really liking the idea of getting some ear biting from Xia Yao. He didn't get any, and this surprised him. But again, he didn't question him, and he only realized that he was carrying a stranger when he put him on his own bed and said, oh, wait, this is not Xia Yao. So what happens is that the stranger wakes up, and from this guy's perspective, he was pretty much kidnapped from the parking lot of this club. And just when he comes into in a stranger's room with a stranger who literally carrying him to his own home. So that would be pretty, upsetting. But the stranger is pretty fine. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this, another day in my life. So, Yu is not very happy about this guy. He essentially, throws him out. He says, you have to go home. I don't know. And, I thought this is harsh because the stranger wants to stay the night. Now, I wouldn't let a stranger stay the night in my house. Doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter the context. No, there is no way strangers staying in my house. But, you can call a cab. You can call a taxi. They can pick him up, take him home. You can pay for it. You seem rich. I don't think it's going to involve a lot of money. So you can do that. That would be the decent thing to do. But Yu doesn't, because again, the logical thing is something that doesn't exist in this unit. In this universe just doesn't have logic. That's my theory. So what he does is eventually he says, fine, you can stay, but you have to go downstairs. So Yu goes to bed, the stranger stays downstairs, and when Yu wakes up the next day, the stranger pretty much rob him of everything. I don't know of everything, but it looked like everything. He took everything. I don't know why, because it was just one guy. I guess he found some bags or something. I don't remember, but he just robbed him blind, which is just as he deserves. Let me tell you, Yu is not portrayed in a very good light so far. So, you know what? I think it's fair enough. Karma. You deserve it. You got robbed. And also you're rich. What are you complaining? And also, I had the impression, I don't know with Pense, but definitely with Yu, I got the impression that, he's just a rich guy, because at least Xia Yao has a job. But Yu gives me the impression of just being a rich guy, he depends on his parents, he has family money and that's it. So you know what? That's it. You deserve it. Take everything. I don't remember the name of the guy, but that was fair enough. So that's what happened to Yu. Let's go back to our other part in the situation, which is, for 1 minute, I forgot the names. This is my brain in the morning. We have Xia Yao with Yong. So at this stage, again, you would say, Yong, you have a car, a truck. I don't know. I don't remember what type of vehicle he has, but he has a vehicle. He can, something to move around. So you can say, how about taking Xia Yao home in your car? Well, he doesn't, because again, no logic. What he does is get Xia Yao on his back, because apparently, he saw it and said, that looks like fun. and maybe, I can take him home that way. So he gets him on his back and he takes him home. Now, again, let's give him some credit. He actually takes him to Xia Yao's home, not to his own home. So, that already is a step above Dayu. And of course, because he's taking it home, he's carrying it home in his bag, he does get an ear biting. Apparently, Xia Yao's ear biting, very sought after in this universe. He got it and he's, couldn't be happier, like the best moment of his life. He gets a tiny mirror from I don't know where and he observes Xia Yao munching on his ear. And he's ecstatic, or at least as ecstatic as this guy can express in his face. Because, let me tell you, this guy, not very expressive. He's a little expressive. You can read his expressions, but, he's not the most expressive of actors. So he looks happy, he looks excited, and he takes Xiao home there the whole way, just munching on his ear, which is disgusting, but he already said that. So he got him to his house. I can only assume that he actually climbed the balcony with Xia Yao on his back, which is something I'm sorry I didn't see. And then he deposited him on his bed. However, because Xia Yao was still, attached to his ear, he couldn't disattach himself very easily unless he cut his ears. And can you imagine that? Can you imagine waking up with somebody's ear in your mouth? That is a nightmare. So what he does is that he descends on the bed with Xia Yao. So they're both in the bed. Xia Yao is just, going at it in his ear. So we had a little moment there. And then, we don't know how much he waited because we don't actually get, I think there was a cut in the middle. So we don't actually know how much Xia Yao was biting on his ear. But at some point he actually lets go and turns around and starts sleeping. So that is when, again, another good thing, he actually leaves instead of, having any kind of nefarious purpose. So he actually leaves very happy with his ear tatters because the next morning Xia Yao wakes up and he says he can taste blood in his mouth. So that was some biting. That was some hard biting that he did. And what we have now, because he assumed it was Dayu, he assumes Dayu took him home and that it was his ear that he bit. And when he went to see Dayu, he found out that he wasn't. So now he doesn't know whose ear he had been biting. So I can only assume that what we are going to see today is a sort of twisted Cinderella story with Xia Yao looking at everybody's ears, trying to find out which is the ear that he had been munching on in the previous night. That is my only hope for this episode. And I think that's it. I think we are caught on, and it only takes us 20 minutes. So that is a whole episode of this show. I think that is actually longer than one episode because I'm looking at the amount of time these episodes last, and this one lasts 21 minutes. So my intros are actually longer than the actual episodes. And it's going to be shorter because I'm going to skip the intro. I think I already talked enough with no purpose. So there we go. I've skipped the intro. Let's go. I'm going to stop rambling and actually start the episode. So let's go to episode number 9 right